I appointed myself chief rocket designer. Odell, who was the garbage man's son, provided me with a small discarded plastic flashlight to use as the body of the rocket. I emptied its batteries and then punched a hole in its base with a nail. I cracked open my cherry bombs left over from the 4th of July and poured the powder from them into the flashlight and then wrapped it all up in electrical tape. You can kind of tell where this is going already, can't you? I took one of the cherry bomb fuses left over and stuck it in the hole and then glued the entire apparatus inside the fuselage of a D-wing plastic model airplane. I recall it was an F-100 Super Sabre. Since Sherman, who had polio and therefore couldn't run very fast, also because it was his idea, he was placed in charge of a countdown, a position that allowed him to stand back. Roy Lee was to bring the matches. Odell was to strike the match and hand it to me. I would light the fuse and make a run for it. Everybody had something to do. When night came, we balanced our rocket looking wicked and sleek on top of my mother's rose garden fence. The fence was a source of some pride and satisfaction to my mom. It had taken 6 months of her reminding Dad to send a company carpenter down to build it. The night was cold and clear, all the better, we thought, for us to track our rocket as it streaked across the dark and starry sky. We waited until some coal cars rumbled past, and then I lit the fuse and ran back to the grass at the edge of the rose bushes. Odell smacked his hand over his mouth to smother his excited giggle. Sparkles of fire dribbled out of the fuse. Sherman was counting backward from 10. We waited expectantly, and then Sherman reached 0 and yelled, "Blast off!" just as the cherry bomb powder detonated. There was an eyewitness, a miner waiting for a ride at the gas station across the street. For the edification of the fence gossipers, he would later describe what he had seen. There was, he reported, a huge flash in the Hickams' yard, and a sound like God himself had clapped his hands. Then an arc of fire lifted up and up into the darkness, turning and cartwheeling and spewing bright sparks. The way the man told it, our rocket was a beautiful and glorious sight. And I guess he was right as far as it went. The only problem was, it wasn't our rocket that streaked into that dark, cold, clear, and starry night. It was my mother's rose garden fence. Well, all the dogs started barking up and down the hollow, and everybody came out on the back porch, including my parents came on the back porch to see what was going on. My dad took one look, said, "You handle it, Elsie," and walked back inside. Now, I was standing alone. There was a rather large hole in the fence for the other boys to escape through. Even though it was quite late at night, I was clearly visible since the rest of the fence was on fire. And if my mom had gone back in the house and gotten her daddy's old pistol and came out and shot me right between the eyes, there would not have been a West Virginia jury that would have convicted me. Right, Paula? They would have said, "Well, Mrs. Hickam, you saved us the trouble later on."